All right, everyone. So, just a couple things. What this video is it's an overview of all the education that we've learned over the past 3 weeks. My ask of you is to pause this video after each summary and answer the discussion question. And if there's some that you do not know how to answer, then that's okay. What we'll do is we will do that on our one on one calls. But the best would be if you can finish as much as you can before our call, and then that way we'll be able to cover more ground. Okay? So without further ado, let's jump into this. So the first video was food, friend or foe. And what we learned was that exercise and nutrition is best taken on together. As well, understanding our food triggers will give us more power to choose. And that willpower is finite, and working smarter, not harder, is our path. Number 4, new actions, new results. So if we're continuing to do things the same way we always have, then we can't really expect any new results because we might just be exercising more willpower, which is finite. And inside of busy schedules, that doesn't work. Understanding the benefit of not changing can be important to discovering your pathway. I used the example in the video of smoking. Sometimes people use smoking to energize, sometimes they use it to relax. And even though they know that it's a bad habit, they do it for a very good reason, which is what I just mentioned. So the discussion question is here. So you can pause this video and you can write that down now. And I'm going to move on. So pause and finish that, or bring it to me during our call. But I'd highly recommend that you try to do it on your own so that when we look at it again together, then we can add more to it. All right. So does meal timing influence weight loss? So the first thing is that light signals activity and feeding, and darkness signals resting and fasting. So this is just something to consider in how our brains kind of work so that we can set up our schedule to actually make it more effortless to lose weight, just based on our primal physiology, you know? So number 3, eating late at night in some studies does impact weight gain. And number 4, sleep, recovery, metabolic disturbances, and dietary choices play a role. And what that means is that sleep as a foundational thing to focus on is extremely important, and this can impact hormones as well. And stress plays a huge role in this as well. This is why when an individual is high stress, they will be higher weight, and it's not necessarily fat, it's sometimes just water weight. Next, however, how much and what matters more than when. And this just means that to direct our attention to how much we eat and what we eat instead of when we eat. So even though there are studies that say that eating late impacts weight loss, it is way more important for us to focus on how much, which we get from building our awareness, and what, which is again an awareness thing. So when we can extract more information, we have more control, and therefore with more control, we can have more results. So next discussion question, you can pause here and you can answer those questions. Number 3, does meal frequency impact weight loss? What matters most is to look at what sets you up for success in your day to day. Discovering your patterns or traps you fall into and then taking new actions is better than the pure willpower approach. And that's kind of similar to the video before. Keep trying new approaches, find what works, drop what doesn't, and continue to create your version of healthy. This is where it's very important for you to write down when you are in the experience of avoiding, distracting, or anything like that so that you can bring it to our one-on-one calls. Do not try to remember it for the calls later. Write it down so that you are able to easily communicate it to me. And feel free to message me as well. I'm here for you guys, and we'll continue to refine. It's actually way more important to not make progress than to make progress, because if it was just going to be so easy as to make progress in a linear fashion, then anyone can create a plan. I tell you, the actual secret to long-term satisfaction and happiness and weight loss is to understand ourselves. So moving on, pause and complete the discussion questions. Video number 4, does food processing influence weight loss? So put simply, more processing equals less full, more likely to overeat, higher calorie density. So fast foods, for example, are going to have lots of processing, right? Less processing, home cooked meals, or foods that are as close to their natural form, will make you more full, less likely to overeat as a result, and they will have lower calorie density. So and a higher nutrition density too should be on there, but it's not. Number 3, eating salad before a meal decreases overall caloric intake. So strategically, like this is a when, right? But this is one of those whens that can impact your total meal intake. So having that salad before you have your potatoes, for example, will decrease the absorption rate of the meal, and it will actually lead to less caloric intake over that whole meal. Next, drinking more water, eating more soup, and having more vegetables decreases overall caloric intake. So when we are talking one-on-one, we will be looking at your food intake from the weeks before, from our awareness, and we're going to be looking to see where we can insert more water or soup, where we can insert more vegetables, and just by definition, we will eat less when our stomach is more full, right? That just makes sense. And so here are the discussion questions, and I have some action ideas too. So finding go-to soups, we talked about that, and this is what you've been looking at for your meals. And again, this takes time. This is not something that's easy. We are creatures of routine, so you're going to resist this. And once we find those things, those go-to items, then it will just become a lot easier. So here are the discussion questions for you to fill out. Have a go at those and then unpause, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, so number 5 here, video number 5. Does protein impact weight loss? So protein burns more calories digesting than carbs and fat. Number 2, protein signals a part of the brain that should say it signals a part of the brain and to tell it that it is being fed. Number 3, independently increasing protein decreases overall food intake. So this is why I had mentioned that, some people are like, oh my God, Cam, how do I get this much protein? I get it, but that's based on our norm, and it doesn't need to be this way. If we go with a strategy of increasing fiber and increasing those vegetable contents, and you don't have cravings, then that's success. But in the data, protein intake increased independently does impact your overall intake, right? So why not leverage that? So here's the discussion question. And once you complete that, then you can press play again, pause to finish that. And the last video, number 6, what is volumetric eating? So when water and fiber increases in a meal, overall food intake for a meal decreases. Apparently I filled in the word in my head, but anyway. Number 2, more low caloric density foods leads to greater weight loss compared to eating less and eating less fat. I should say or. So the take home here is that these lower caloric density foods, this is a callback to the processing. When we eat foods at home instead of out at a restaurant or prepared for us ahead of time, the more closely it can be to nature will mean that it will be lower in calories, higher in nutrition. This isn't always true, but for the most part, this is true. This is why when an individual eats out more, it's predictable that they will weigh more. So finding those go-to ways to make it easy for an individual to eat less by eating at home can be effective. And eating salad first decreases calories of the entire meal, and soups help to fulfill water and fiber intake. So this is just another callback to the, where was that written before? Yeah, then the processing. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. So soup helps to fulfill water and fiber intake. That's self-explanatory. And that is all of our education. So what I did here is I basically took all of the uh, pieces of information that, when combined together, if implemented, will have a significant impact on your total body composition, and it's not going to be easy. Okay. So there's the summary. Finish off that last discussion question. Keep at it. And it will be difficult in the beginning. Let's keep on trying to find those little tweaks. And before long, those tweaks added together will result in amazing things. Those new actions lead to new results. So I hope that helped. I will also be providing a link to all of the videos again if you'd like to rewatch them. And I will see you all soon.